Hello everyone, how are we all doing? Hopefully everyone can hear me okay and things are coming through clean. It's been a while. Apologies, yeah, we've been out for a few weeks because of Christmas as well. Plus a load of other personal stuff going on in my life. So far things are okay, but we'll see how they go. So I want to first of all say thank you for your patience and understanding. There are tons of messages and emails I need to get back to, so apologies if I haven't got back to them just yet. I'm working my way through them as much as I can, as quick as I can. But yes, we're back. We have a question time, and this is the last question time of 2021. So, if you don't know how this works, you get to ask any question you like via chat. All you have to do is put in your question in the chat. I'll grab as many as I can, answer them for you within the hour, as many as we can do, at least anyway. If I do miss your question, don't worry, just put it in chat again, and yeah, we'll answer them as we go. If you're a Patreon member, you get access to the question time queue jump, where you go to Discord and you can ask your question ahead of time. So if you can't make the live stream to ask your question, you can leave it there and catch it on the archive. So yeah, hello everyone. So first of all, we have got a couple of questions in the Discord chat. I'm going to answer first of all whilst we're still waiting for people to turn up as well. So let's go for the first one here, and there's been some discussion already in the chat on Discord already, but Venom Symbiote is asking, how would you scale an enemy to the player's level? For instance, for every level or few levels, the enemy's health and damage increases. Okay, so if you're doing a scaling enemy stats and or health, things like that, based on the player's level, what you're ultimately looking at is developing an algorithm which takes the player's stats and recalculates them for the enemies. So it will look at the player's stats and then throw them into an algorithm or equation that you've worked out, which will generate that information. And you do that on the begin play or the construction script, however you wish. That's probably the best way of doing it. If you need them to scale at the point of where they say they're in combat with you and you level up at that time in combat, and you want them to scale right there and then you also have to tell them to keep an eye out for the player's health, level to go up as well. So when the player does level up, probably use an event dispatcher to dispatch that out so that they can then watch that happen and then respond in kind. But most games don't do that. Most games just set the enemy's health and stats at the point of where they're spawned. So whilst you're in combat with them, if you do level up, nothing changes. They stay the same as they are, which is probably the easiest, simplest method. And most optimized as well, because you're not constantly looking and listening out for something. We have got another question, but I'll go back into the YouTube chat and answer some questions there. So okay, so question one, Alt Gaming. Will you ever finish some, I guess I'm going to say, of the series you abandoned? It seems all I see are these questions videos. So the series that have been abandoned, they've usually been banned for a reason. So the only ones that I've abandoned that I can think of are the building series and the FPS RPG series so far. And they both got banned for different reasons. The building series wasn't being developed the way, it wasn't going the way I wanted it to go, and I want to revisit it with a fresh take. So it just felt like I was duct taping a lot of things and bug fixing a lot of things when it wasn't ideal. So ideally what I want to do going forwards, which I have been going forwards, is making the whole series first and then editing it afterwards. And I want to do the same for the building series, rather than doing this like ad hoc as I go along, which leads to bugs being developed across its lifespan. I want to go back and redo it from scratch, and also with some unique assets as well, so we can make things look a bit better too. And that same goes for the FPS RPG. The FPS RPG series was really ambitious and something that should have been developed fully first and then released again. This is just a way of like the way the channel was being recorded at the time, where I was doing it as I was going along. But obviously it works better off not to do that. So the JRPG, for example, is a series that's been recorded in full already, and it's just now editing. That's it. As well as some other series as well. And the new series, Online Deathmatch one, will also be the same thing. It will also be a all recorded straight up. First of all, so yeah, I mean, a lot of the things are they're abandoned, but they're not entirely, because I will restart them when I get time to go back and restart them, and I would only do that when I could do the whole thing in one go and record the whole thing in one go. So that's why those things got abandoned. Other things that aren't abandoned, they're still going on. They're nearly finished. Like the RTS series is nearly finished. There's a few more episodes of that to record, and so is the online multiplayer one. They're probably the last two series that are my recollection of the old style, where I was recording it as I went. Everything else has been recorded all together and then being edited afterwards. So that once they're done, then that's that old method of way gone away. So yeah, we're looking at doing it so the whole series is recorded from the get-go, and I can also make that promise to everyone and say like yes, the whole thing has been filmed, it's gonna all come out, don't worry. You can even download the final product right now and play it right now. So for example, the JRPG series, the final finished thing is available for gold patrons, and people like that can download it while they are developing it. So yeah, it's just a new style of approach to developing these things. Next question from Niall JV. What is your favourite version of Unreal Engine? I don't know if I have really a favourite. I don't like 427 too much because of a recent problem I had to deal with. So, as you know, I'm developing Fireteam, which is my new online FPS deathmatch game. They broke Steam in 427, and so I tried fixing it. I went into the source engine files and tried to find where the bug was. I couldn't find anyone else has found it online and found the fix online. And I was like, and I had to just... It worked out that it was quicker for me to remake it all in 426 than to try and fix the engine version 427. So I just did that. So I had to remake it again in 426. So I don't like 427 too much out of spite. But yeah. Unreal Engine 5's good. Obviously buggy still and a few bits missing. I'm waiting for that to get a bit more fuller before I jump straight into it. Hello Stardust Games. Question about something that drives me crazy for days now. I'm using world composition with actor levels being sub-levels attached to the map tiles. Whenever I load a game, including spawning the character in a different map tile, the actor level resets to the world origin to 000 when not in Plane Editor. In Plane Editor works fine. Do you have what do I call it? World Origin. Oh crap! What is it called? Origin rebasing, I think it's called. I can't remember. I can't find a thing. I can't remember where else it is. If you have that ticked on, that handle stuff like that sometimes too. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. It's something I have to get my eyes on, have a look, and play about with. But yeah, it is I'm not too sure entirely of that one. Can you tell me how to implement? This is from AMR Hamid. Can you tell me how to implement input buffer like in fighting games? So kind of, yeah. So I think I've covered it before in a video. So if on your player controller or character, wherever you want to do it, you want to take any key that's being pushed and keep it inside of a buffer. So essentially what you're doing is you have the any key event being triggered, and when this happens, you take the key and you want to store it in like an array, and then you want to clear that array after some amount of time. So this is the basic setup of it. I won't go through the whole process of like going through and checking for combinations and things like that, but for the input buffer, we'll have a input buffer, and we'll do that as a key. And we're going to take that and make that an array. It needs to be an array because it needs to be like a list, an ordered list, so you know what was first, what was second, and what was third, and so forth. And after each push, you're essentially taking the input buffer and you're doing an add on it, and you're adding the key that came from here. Was that really a key? Yeah, it is. And then plug that into there, so it adds it to that list. But then you have to clear that list, because that's the whole point of a buffer. A buffer is meant to clear itself after some amount of time. So there's two things you can do. You can make it so that there's a looping timer. So when this buffer here is larger than so you've got size and you've got timer. So let's do size first. So when this buffer is, say, length is greater than 10, or whatever number you want to use, like that, you want it to remove the first one. So the input buffer will do remove index, and you remove index 0 if that is true. Put that into a branch like so. And when you remove index 0 on an array, it just shifts everything along. So it'll shift it along like that. So you always have a maximum of 10 in your array. But there's also a timer thing you may want to also have. So when you push any key, you do this. Yeah, you may want to start a timer. So let's just break this off a little bit, and we'll do set timer by event. And this event we're going to do custom event, and we're going to do as clear buffer. And you put in the time for how long you want it to wait for the next input to clear it. So let's say 2 seconds. And after 2 seconds, it'll clear the buffer. So it'll call clear buffer, and you simply just empty this array. So clear. Like so. When you do this, though, you do want to make sure that you're setting this to a variable here, the return value. Remote to variable, and we'll do input clear timer, and plug that in like that. So every time you push the button, it's going to reset the timer. Then after 2 seconds, it'll just clean the whole thing out. So let's test this out. So I'm going to go into a tick event here. Not a tick event. We'll do a timer event. So begin play. Oh, I'll just disconnect that VR stuff. And in here, we'll do set timer by event. This is just for debugging this bit, by the way. This isn't part of it. I'm just going to do a custom event. So display buffer. And we'll say every half a second on a loop, it's going to print out the buffer. So I'm going to do print string. And for this, we're going to do a for each loop on that input buffer. For each. Like so. And we're going to get the name. And to string. And we're going to append that to the previous string. This might be better as a actual function, actually. Perhaps a function. Like so. And then we want a local variable for the string. String singular. And we're going to drag this out and do append. And you're going to append the name of that there. And actually, no, let's disconnect that. Put that to C. I'll put in a slash space. Let's put a space here. There too. So you get a slash between each key. So it does that and does that. And then we're going to set that to the L string. Then on completed, we're going to do a print string of the L string. That should print out the string of keys on in a single line. Yeah, like so. Save and hit play. So here I've got the right mouse button was the last pushed. So I can, you can see I'm just tapping different keys on my gamepad here. Right, let go, don't touch nothing, it'll clear it. Seconds. If I hit the keys, okay, so I'm going to go 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 0 1 2 3 4 5 6, and you can see the numbers getting cleared at the start there. They're not saying 1 2 3, they're going from their start, and that's an input buffer. And when you want to search for combos, you do every time you push a new key, you search for combo in that based on the last key that's entered, and see if it matches any of the combos you've got in your data table or whatever you have to calculate the buffer. But there you go. There you can see the input buffer going on here. Okay, and if you want, you can also make the timer so that it will clear the first one out after some amount of time as well as length. If you want to, just do another timer to do that. But that's how you do that. Another question for Stardust. So, easy question. Is there any way to move any level in World Competition at runtime? Not that I'm aware of. No. All you can do is do rebasing, which is basically you reset the 000 coordinate in the world. That's all. It doesn't actually move it. It changes the relative position of the whole world. TQX Mythic. Hey Ryan, can we buy time with you to go over code in order to figure out the best way to merge like two projects into one or something like that? Yes, so if you are unaware, I do offer one-to-one sessions. Just head over to ryanlady.com/sessions. You'll see my availability and pricing for single, group and bundle sessions. I do get booked up quite quickly. I think January is looking pretty full already. So if you want a session with me, get in there quick. But yeah. Yeah, you're welcome, Amar. Bandito the Bandit. Got. Oh, hold on. This is the second part. Basically, what I'm trying to do is once a button is pressed on a UI widget, play select, it returns to my main menu widget and fires off a function in queue, but it just goes to main menu. Did I miss the first part of that? Hang on. Oh no, let me reread that. What you're trying to do is once a button is pressed on a UI widget, play select, it returns to my main menu widget and fires a function in queue, but it just goes to main menu. So you want it to go back to main menu and then fire off something immediately when it gets there. Is that what you're trying to say there, Bandito? Let's scroll, see through other questions we've had here. Alt Gaming, will you ever do a VR FPS? No dev has really done it on YouTube. Us VR devs need love too. Yeah, it was my intention this year actually to do a VR tutorial, but things overtook life and I got too busy, so I didn't have any time to. But I'm hoping next year to get through that. So Bandito, also, are you, when you say go back to main menu, is this going back to a different level main menu, or are you just using widgets to switch between one and the other? While I'm waiting for the delay to catch up on that, let's go through some other questions here. Mongolor, hey Ryan, would you be able to make searchlights that follow the player when you enter the light? Yeah, sure. So let's make a searchlight actor, and we'll call it search light. And event graph. Actually, no, event graph viewport. So on here, we also need a spotlight. And on the spotlight, we're going to angle down. And I'm going to change the radius a little bit. Inner cone angle, like so. Outer cone angle, bring it in a little bit. And let's see how that looks in game. I'll drag that into the world. Okay. Also going to, rather than change it all to nighttime, I'm just going to turn the intensity up a lot, but so we can actually see it a bit clearer in the daytime. And let's also change the color of it too. Make it even clearer on stream. Brighter still. I do. Okay, so you should be able to see that. I'll pull that back there. Let's make that a bit more narrow. Okay. Right, there's my searchlight. Okay, so we're going to make it so that when you're standing in a searchlight, it's going to move and follow you. So, what you're going to do is, first of all, you need to be able to detect where the player is going to be. Okay, so you've got numerous ways of doing this. So, for example, you could put in the a line trace type thing, a sphere trace type thing. There's all sorts of ways you can do it. I personally would do like a trace, like a sphere trace. You can also put like a collision at the end if you want. The problem with the collision at the end is you can't always guarantee the size that you want it to be, or anything like this. It's hard to calculate exactly. But what we can do is we'll put in, without doing too complicated math anyway. So what we'll do here is on a tick event here, we'll do line trace. So sphere trace rather. Sphere trace by channel. And the start position for this will be get actor location. And then in the end, we're going to do actor location, add another vector. And this will be the get forward, not forward vector, get the spotlight forward vector. And we're going to multiply that by distance. And we'll do that by 3000. Plug that into there. And the radius here will do 64, for example. For debug, we'll put it on for 1 frame so we can test it out. And I'll change that to a camera trace channel. So let's just see if that is tracing the correct location in the game. So there you go. You can see it's pointing down and hitting us there. Okay. So next thing we'll do is make it so that when it hits us, we want to track us. So we're going to have a new out. Sorry, not new. We're going to go out hit. So return value into a branch, like so. Out hit. Should actually done like a by profile, really. Never mind. We'll just break that, and we'll say is hit actor equal to player character, and if that is the case, we're going to make it follow this hit actor. So we're going to take the hit actor here and promote that to a variable. And this would be tracking actor. And now go into there. If this is not returning anything false, we're going to clear tracking actor by just setting it to nothing. And also if it hits something that isn't the player character first, we can also clear it on there too. Okay, so next on the tick, we're going to do a test on this. So we're going to do, clear that. We're going to put a sequence in and put that there. And then on, on the tick here, we're going to check to see if tracking actor is set to anything. So convert that to a validated get, plug this in. So if it's true, it's going to track where it's going. And the way it's going to do that is going to take the spotlight and we're going to tell it to get rotation, get world rotation, and we'll do R interp 2. The target rotation is going to be the look at rotation from between these two things. So get location, look at rotation, target is going to be actor location of the player character, or of the tracking actor rather. And that'll be the target R interp 2. Delta time, we'll do world delta seconds, and interp speed we'll set to like 3, whatever. And then I'll just tell the spotlight here to set rotation. If I can type today, that'd be great. Set relative rotation to that value there. Okay. If it is not valid and we do clear tracking actor, we're going to set the spotlight to its default rotation, which is down here. So we're going to do set rotation relative rotation. Plug that into is not valid. And I'm just going to go to the spotlight here and just copy this value here down to here. So 180 minus 90, 180. Okay. So let's see if this works. I'll walk into here. You can see now the light is following me where I go. But if I walk too far out, it will snap back to its original center. As long as I stay inside the circle here, it'll track me wherever I go. And that's basically it. Obviously, you can do, there's various ways of doing it. You can, rather than make it snap back, you can make it R interp back to that if you want. Yeah, there you go. So let's go back to Bandito. Using widget to switch one. Okay. I'm going to have a guess at what you're trying to do. To switch back and forward in between widgets. So in our widget blueprint here, we'll call this one menu widget. And in here, you should have this, like the whole widget itself, like the main thing. And in here, you're going to have a widget switcher. And the widget switcher's job is basically to take its contents and switch what is visible at any one time. So let's make this thing anchor to the whole entire thing. Like so. And let's make some sub widgets. So you'd have another widget in here called menu widget 1. Don't know. And we'll make it have a border. And by the way, a shortcut for the anchors, by the way, if you hold down Control and Shift when you click on this one, it'll set it all correctly for you. Brush color, we'll make that red. Compile that. And let's make another one. Make that. I'll change that to be blue. But this will obviously contain all the stuff you'd have in it. So the different options, menus, boxes, everything in those two things. And in your main menu widget, the main thing that's got, you're going to have them all together. In your user create section, you'll add those two widgets to that widget switcher. So now you can see only one of them showing the first one. But if I click on 2, it'll show 2. And I can show 1, 2, 1, 2. And you can have as many as you want in here. So by default, we'll only show the first one. But then if you wanted to switch to different ones, let's say you had a button on the screen. So let's add a button to this thing. Like so. Put it in the bottom corner here. And I'll just change the size of this to be 300 by 50. Okay, so there's one. And I'll make another button. And set that to be there. Okay, so I'll make this one go forward, this one go backwards. So this one, I'm going to go to on-clicked event. And for this, we're going to take the Oh wait, yeah, widget switcher. There you go. And we need to set that to the next one in the array. So what you really want to do is at start is set the array up of the different submenus you have in the order that they should appear in. So I get my menu widget 1 and menu widget 2, and in there we're going to make array, and we're going to add. Oh wait, this needs to be different type. Hang on. So these are obviously too specific. You need to make them not specific. So if you make a new widget here, new variable here, and do widget array, and this will be a user widget. There you go, and make that an array. Oh, there you go. We can get that and add, not add, sorry, set, and then do make. You should be able to add these both to it because they all derive from the same parent class. So you put all the ones you have in the correct order. So when you push the button, so this button is the right hand one, so that's going to go forwards. So I'm going to do widget switcher, and I'm going to take the widget array, and I want to get the current index that I'm on. Okay, so you've got a few ways of doing it. I'm going to keep it straightforward. Let's make it like current index, and that'll be a integer, and that'll be set to 0. 0 being the first one in that array. So I'm going to take the current index, let's move this all out of the way. I'm going to add 1 to this. I then want to check to see if it's a valid index as of this array that I have. So do valid index and plug that into there. If it is valid, then that's the one we want to use. So we'll set current index to using a select int, we'll set it to the select int, and then if it's true, it'll pick A. So this will be this one. So if it's a valid index, yep, add 1 to it. That's fine. If it's not valid, you want it set back to 0, which is going back to the start. More than welcome to. If you don't want it to loop, just put in the last index into there instead. I'm gonna make it loop back to the start, so it'll be set to 0. And that'd be the current index. And then I'll take my widget switcher and I'll do set widget, and you'll see it's set active widget index. And you plug that in and plug that into there. And plug that all in. So these widgets are all stuck together. They're all like this, okay? So there's no trouble about communicating back and forward. You can just keep it all in one. Makes it a bit simpler. So the other button whilst we're here. So this button here on clicked. It's pretty much very much the same. We're going to take all of this and copy it. Difference being is obviously we're going to take away 1, not add 1. -1 is valid index. If it's valid, great, go there. If it's not valid, we can make it go to the last index. So just drag out from the array, last index. So it loops back to the end of the array, and it goes into there. And that's it. So on the design here, when I click on these buttons, it will make me switch between different things. And because they're all part of the same widget, they can all communicate to each other. And you can, and then you could easily grab information from them because you have direct references to them. So if you have settings in one, you want to communicate to the other, you can just literally just grab menu widget 1 and get the setting you want from that widget directly. You don't have to mess about with it too much, which makes things a lot easier. So let's show this working. Let's make the tab key do something, and we'll do create widget and do menu widget. Just going to add it to screen like that. Get controller, get player controller is what I want. Player controller. Set show mouse cursor. Tick that to be true. And set input mode to game and UI. Like so. Okay, so now we can easily test this out. Hit tab, Now I've got my menu. If I click this one, it'll switch to the next one. Go back to the start. This one will go back. So, and to show it in a better context rather than having just two, let's make another one. And let's make it go to a different colour so you can easily see. Green, that'll do. Go back to my menu widget and add that to this. So I'll go to user created, find number 3, put it in there, and then just make sure I make it part of that array here. So add pin, menu 3. And again, you have access to that widget stuff. It'll work just fine. Yeah, so if I push play now, so let's go to blue, then green, then back to red. This will go back to green and go the other way around. Okay. Yeah, there you go. Spare mail. I recall a comment from you a while back saying you'll eventually start a new series called Making Your Second Game, kind of a more advanced version of Making Your First Game. Is this still on your plans? Yes, it is. So the reason why it never happened, it didn't get around to being made, was because it's kind of a good thing, but Patreon goals were kept getting met. So I had to make I had to make series outside of the plan. So like RTS, for example, took over a lot of that time, and then people also paid for me to create some tutorials for them. So some of the series you've seen the past few months have been ones people have paid for. So they've obviously taken over time there too. So yes, it will be happening. Just a matter of, again, making it all from scratch first of all, and then recording it and putting it out there. I've got a friend now who's helping me edit videos, so editing shouldn't be too much of a hassle now. So it should be a lot easier to get stuff done. Hi Ryan, this is from Vlad. In Banjo-Kazooie, when Banjo speaks to characters, the screen smooth locks into a certain position, then goes back after it's done. How's this done? How do they do it? I can't try and remember what Banjo did. So the main thing is is the blend target views. So let's say I've got a character I want to talk to. A character. Let's give this a simple mesh. Like so. Okay. And I'm just going to do a very simple setup of me walking near him to trigger it. So let's do a sphere collision. Well, obviously you'd have something a bit more advanced when you want to trigger the talk. So when it does this, you typically want some sort of dialogue camera involved. This could be part of the level, part of the character here. I'm going to keep things simple and make it part of the character here. So you have a dialogue camera. And we'll set that camera up with the position that we want it to be in. Like so. No, particularly point at the character's face so you can see them talking. Something like that. Okay. And then on your let's rename it actually to make it a bit easier. Dialogue. There you go. And let's. Okay. So when we overlap this, we can overlap. We're going to check if the other actor is actually the player character first. So equal to get player character. And if that's the case, the branch, we're going to tell it to get the player controller. And we're going to do set view target with blend. And I want this to be instant when it goes into it, and then make it fade out when it's not, when it's leaving it. So the new view target will be self, and it'll have no blend time. I won't disable movement, but you'd normally disable movement, show the dialogue, and then when you end the dialogue, you call this bit of code. But we're going to do it on here instead of an end overlap. Save a bit of time. So again, you want to copy the same thing here, put this on here. So to make it go back to the player character, we're going to have the exact same thing here. We've set view target to blend. However, rather than self, obviously, we want to use the player character. So, and we want to give it some blend time. So you do like, I don't know, 2. It'll take 2 seconds for it to blend back. And I'll save. So if I put this into the world now, and put that there, play, and I walk over to him, the camera will cut to a dialogue camera. But if I would move outside that box, it will blend back to my player character's thing. And that can be then enabling the character's movement again. So let's do it. So with instead of end overlap, we'll do a timer based solution. Just because I haven't got a dialogue system in here and I don't have time to set it all up. So on set time by event, we'll do a custom event, end dialogue, and we'll say after 3 seconds, it'll do this. And move. Okay, so that's a time based one. But my player will be disabled movement. So let's disable my player's movement. So I'm going to get player controller and do ignore move input. Do true. So now anything that affects movement will be ignored. And then when it ends dialogue and you set the view target here, I'm going to delay it by 2 seconds, which is how long it's going to take for it to return back to our player character. And then we're going to take that again and turn it to be false. So now if I walk back into a thing, okay, and it will now go back, and I can't move until it's finished. Now I can move again, and again, cut, talk, end of cut dialogue, goes back, he goes, and you now resume gameplay. That's kind of how it's done. Whilst in that dialogue, you have that dialogue camera. You can make that point to the other subject, which is the player character if you want, or the player character can have their own dialogue camera you want to switch back and forward to, whatever you want to do, level sequence, whatever, however you want to set it all up. It's totally up to you. But yeah. Squally ITA. Hey Ryan, I noticed that games created in Unreal have the materials that almost look like plastic compared to CryEngine or Unity games. In your opinion, is it just my impression or is it true? Materials can look however you want it to look. If a game looks plasticky, that's their choice to make it look like that. You can make it look photoreal. I mean, you can look at the Matrix Awakens thing, like photoreal textures and graphics. Yeah, so. When it comes to material design, it's totally down to designers. So yeah, it's the same for Unity as well, and games like that. Everything uses physically based rendering, so it all looks meant to simulate real life stuff. Thank you, Jacob, who's saying you do a great job behind the camera. Thank you. Speaking of behind the camera stuff, patrons will be in January start getting a few more features and rewards. One such thing is the lounge. If you haven't caught my last devlog video update, the lounge will be a Discord room. It'll be like this, except less formal. It's not going to be broadcast out. It'd be just a place where I'll chill out and hang out. You can hang out with me. We can chat about anything we want. Ask me questions. Do it games. I'll probably work on something as well at a time. So it's sort of a hangout space. So we'll be doing stuff like that. And that'll be ad hoc. Like whenever I'm free to do something like that, I'll jump in. So it'll be quite good to do. So yeah, speaking of behind the camera stuff, trying to do more things for that. We're also starting to set up our own online school type thing, so people can sign up to online courses and get more of a intimate course delivery live, and you can ask questions and get assessed, get feedback, and things like that. So that's coming as well. Are you Vlad? That's brilliant, Ryan. Thank you so much. Are you going to be doing a 3D platformer series in the future? Also, it is a lot. Is it a lot that goes into changing character and its skills attack, like when Mumbo changes Banjo? So I will do a 3D platform in the future. Yes. But one of my favorite genres. So yes, definitely. Also, is it a change look into the character and its skills and attacks when Mumbo changes? So what's actually happening when you change character in Mumbo, in Banjo-Kazooie, is you're actually changing character form. So if, like, let's make another one. Hang on. So here's the first person character. If I right click and duplicate this, okay, this is a different character now. Let's say on this one, when I do jump, I'll make character movement here. I'm going to make him double jump. So let's go to his thing here. Jump max count to 2. And I'll make his jump a little bit higher as well. Change that to 700. So I've got a bit of a bigger jump on him. So if I want to switch this character, let's say something happens in the game when I switch. So maybe I'll go talk to that character that I made. Okay, so when I finish the end dialogue here, we're going to delete the old character and tell the new character to be possessed. So we're going to get move that out of the way here. So on here we're going to get player character, and we're going to destroy actor, and then we're going to spawn actor from class. And we're going to choose the other one. So first person. First person character 1. Spawn transform, it'll be the same location as the player character location. So actually what I want to do is put destroy actor after this. So a sec. Spawn transform, we get player character, get transform. Put that in there. Change that to always spawn. So no matter what, it will spawn in place. And then I want to destroy the previous character. And then with the return value here, we're going to do possess. Oh, sorry, you have to get player controller first. Get player controller. And then do possess. Like that. And chuck in the pawn. And then the rest of it can be hooked up. Handles like the camera change. Okay, compile, save that. So when I'm in the first character, I can only jump once. Okay, but if I go to this guy, he will talk to me, give me a power up. Now I've changed character. So what you're doing is you're just changing character, and so now I've got 2 abilities. I could do 2 jumps now, and a higher jump too. So what I've done is I've changed character completely, and that's what happens in Banjo-Kazooie, for example, when Mumbo changes you. It doesn't actually change your mesh or anything like that, it just changes the whole entire character, which is a lot easier for fixing, a lot easier to test, a lot easier to handle lots of other things too. There's a lot less can go wrong with that. And the same goes for any sort of game where you change character. So for example, in GTA, when you switch between the 3 protagonists, you're not just changing stuff about your current character, you're completely switching to a different entire character, which has different values, different stats, different abilities, different inventory, different everything. No problem, Bandito. Jacob, how much will it cost? What are you referring to there? You're talking about the session, like the courses? It's still undecided yet. I've got an idea in my mind, but I'm waiting to see how it. I'm waiting to develop it further to see how much really I think it's going to come to. But it'll work out. It'll work out cheaper in the long run compared to having private one-to-one sessions. So if you want that, it's sort of an in-between something public like this and something more private like a one-to-one session. So overall works out cheaper. and it'll be very focused on a particular topic. So it'll be like, for example, the first one could be AI. For example, it's not going to, no guarantee it's going to be AI yet. We're still writing them all up, but AI could be one of them, and it'd be something particular about AI. And it'll be, I'm trying to keep them to 6 sessions. So over 6 weeks, you do 1 session a week, and then it ends, and you get a project to complete in your own time, and you send that back to me, and I'll give you feedback on how well you've done, complete with the challenges and so forth, and where you can go next with it. And the different topics will be changing every course. So there'll be 6 weeks doing one type topic, and then the next one will be tackling widgets, for example, or I don't know, whatever. So the idea is that there'll be like courses that you can, little short courses you can join and sign up to. And you'll be given all the assets, all the resources. They will be recorded as well, so if you want to watch them back later, you can do. And top end patrons will also get access to those recordings, but not the live sessions. They can't access the live sessions. They can only access the recordings of them, so they don't get that one-to-one or feedback or anything like that. They can just watch them indirectly. And that's only for like the top tier patrons, the platinum and diamond tier. That's the current thinking behind it. Yeah. Spare mail. Ryan, sometimes I use Actor Has Tag as an alternative to casting. From what you know, is using Actor Has Tag performance heavy. So not performance heavy. If you're using it instead of casting, you're using casting wrong. Casting shouldn't be used as a thing to check if it's an actor or not. You want to check. Casting's there to transform a reference into a different reference. So if you're just doing it to check to see if a actor is of a certain class or certain tag, yep, tag is fine. You can also do something like this as well. So if you get player character, for example, I don't know, you get a reference to something. I'll tell you what would be better if we do overlap. Actor begin overlap. So yeah, on this, if you get the class, we'll just check to see if it is of a particular class of actors. You can just get the class of it, and go is child of, and you can search what parent class it is, and you'll check to see what parent class it is a child of, if it's true or not. That's only if you don't want to transform this reference. If you're happy with the reference as it is, then this will work just fine. If you do need to change it into a more specific one, then yes, casting would be where it goes into. Yeah. Racing is fun. Ryan, where's the question time 54 at? Don't seem to be able to find it on Patreon either. I know I fell off the wagon catching up with those. I need to put that one up, as well as putting like chapters and things like that. I'm hoping to do it this week. When I was going to do it tomorrow, but I've got to take my mum to hospital tomorrow, so I won't be able to. But maybe later on in the week I'll be able to. Yeah, Chris, I answered the question for you. It was the first thing I answered. So check it out on the archive later. Ultimate Bot 3000. Hey Ryan, is there a way to make a simple glitch effect with UE4's post process? So do you mean like the glitch out, like the whole entire screen glitch out? If so, probably I can probably figure something out. I don't know. Have a look. So we'll make tutorial glitch, and we'll change that to a post process. Okay. So what kind of glitch effect do you mean? Like, you want the whole screen to like look like it's like tuning in, like thing. There's a few things you could do. So if you're doing a post process, you can tweak the whole entire render of it. So if we get the scene texture and change that to post process input 0, you have this that you can plug in, and then you can tweak the UVs however you wish. You can mess them about a lot. So for example, if we have I don't know if there's a texture we can use. Noise. That's pretty. Yeah, we could maybe use that. So yeah, so you have this thing. We could use this to try and tweak the UVs of this. I guess I don't know. Let's have a look. So just what you're doing is you're messing about with the UVs. So just append those into A and B like that. You get this, which is pretty insane. We may need to divide that by number first. Divide it by 100. No. Bit too much in it. Tell you what we can do is if we if I put in here, put it here, look, interpolate this there, do there, and move this into there. We can do things like this. And if I want to tweak this further, I can put in a time maybe. And a sine wave. And then divide that sine wave because I want it to be very, very small. So let's divide that by 10. No, let's do 20. And you get this sort of like weird glitchy stuff. Like so. I don't know, there's something you can do. Yeah, I don't know. It's something like that. I just muck about with it. Just mess about the UVs. Shift them along a bit. Maybe if I divide by minus 20. No, just like if I multiply this, sorry. Multiply. That into there. Whoa. 2.5 into negative. Oh wait, no, not negative won't work because it's gonna. Yeah, sorry. 0.05. Oh god, can't type. And then do a subtract on this. No, we'll do add. Oh, I don't know, something like that. I don't know. Otherwise, you just put in that overlay as well onto the screen. You can do stuff like that too. So rather than manipulating the scene texture like this, we could do. Oh wait. Get rid of this. Get rid of this. And this texture here, we can overlay this on top, so we can multiply this by this, so that looks like. Wait. Whoops. Looks like this. Obviously use any texture you want, you have to use this. And then we multiply that by not multiply, sorry, lerp. Linear interpolate. That going to B, this will go into A, there. And then this would be the time sine wave into that. B. Multiply that by a small number to make it less severe. Might not be coming through on stream, but it is there. Like that. Pan it as well. You can rotate it, pan it, whatever you want to do it. There you go. Something to mess about with. There's got a lot of things you can mess about with there. You could spend all day doing it. But yeah, methods just experiment. We'll take one more question as we are at the end, but I'll answer 2 questions. So racing is fun, and then we'll wrap up. So I'll answer 2 questions and then we'll wrap up. So racing is fun. When should we use a normalized function? Could we use it often to save performance headroom? Less so performance, just saves you a bit of extra work. It's not so much. I say you won't affect really performance that much because you're only saving like a couple of nodes or a couple of things like that. And it's all math stuff, and math stuff's done really quickly. So normalized, the benefit of using it just saves you time. Makes it a lot easier to work out stuff. It's a function that saves that hard work. I love it for that reason. It's also very useful for doing things like working out directions of stuff. An RTA environment artist, what do you think about the tessellation deprecation? A lot of professional people think that it was not a good idea. Yeah, so if you don't know, UE5 has taken out tessellation, which is this thing down here. There, tessellation multiplier. So they've taken it out, and I could only surmise the reason why they've taken it out is because of Nanite. Nanite kind of does the same thing but better. So it being taken out is fine for the heavy duty games that would normally be using it anyway. Because what tessellation does, if you don't know, it's used for displacement typically, and what it takes all the squares or the polygons that a model is made of and divides them up and tessellates them more with more triangles, so that when you displace them, more detail can be displaced. And that's typically how we used to do high detailed meshes. Okay, it saves a lot of time modeling things. You can make it tessellate and do that. Nanite is a system that's designed to get past that and stop using that. If you're using tessellation, chances are you're using it for a game that's going to be like using it heavily. Your chances are using it for a game that's going to be using high-end hardware anyway. Something that Nanite would be using anyway. So it really comes down to the performance cost of tessellation versus performance cost on Nanite, which I don't have that much information on. I don't know what's better and what's worse. I don't know yet. So there is that, and also Nanite has its own limitations. So there are things there that you lose out on for it being taken out. I don't see why you'd want to take it out. It doesn't hurt. It keep it in there for legacy games. But I understand why it's gone. I don't see why take it out. You can just leave it in there. It may be just like them trying to move things forwards. But yeah, that's what Nanite's trying to do anyway. Hi Ryan from Vlad, how is your mother doing? She had an operation. If you don't know, my mother was diagnosed with cancer a couple of weeks ago now, I think. Throat cancer, and she struggled with her throat for the past few months because she couldn't really talk. It was like her tongue was swollen up, can't move her tongue to eat. So she's been living off soup for the past 4 months. Yeah, it was hard going. She eventually got it looked at and confirmed it was cancer, and she had a biopsy on Christmas Eve. So on Christmas Eve, she went into surgery and they had a biopsy. And the biopsy has taken its toll on her. She is really struggling a lot. Sleeping most of the day, unable to talk really, still unable to eat solid. Can't even take tablets, has to be like crushed up and stuff like that. So she's not doing too good. We get the results from the biopsy tomorrow morning, so I'm going to be taking her to hospital in about 5 hours time. So I'm going to just go sleep for 4 or 5 hours and then take her to hospital to get the results of the said biopsy. I don't know if I'm being honest with myself, I don't know how things will go. It could go either way. It's hard to know for certain. It doesn't look good, but we're dealing it day by day. So like my wife, for example, went round to my nan, who my mum is staying with at the moment, to she's feeling like this, and my wife went over and she spent the day looking after her, which is a good thing, obviously. Helps her out a lot, and then we're gonna take her to hospital tomorrow and get results. So fingers crossed we have something worked out, like a treatment plan, so we know where we're going to go next. So what, chemo or radiotherapy or whatever, surgery, whatever it may need, and we get an idea behind how bad things are. So we'll see. Yeah. So thank you. Said at the start of this session. Thank you for everyone's understanding and patience, especially on Patreon. Uploads have been spotty, where I'm trying to upload stuff and film stuff. I've had no time to really film stuff. Really. So it's been a tough old week, or a few weeks at least anyway. So yeah, no, we're dealing with it as best we can. Thank you. I'll keep everyone abreast of what's going on. Yeah. Racing is fun. For question times, I recommend there be a master spreadsheet on what was discussed in each episode. Often the same questions get asked more than once. I'm more than happy for someone else to do that. It's just it's a lot of work. So yeah, we'll see. I'm trying to add I've been recently, you may notice, I've been trying to add chapter tiles to each thing, so you can click and see what questions were asked and jump to them. It's just time. It just takes time. Everything takes time. So when it comes down to working on this stuff now, it's like managing your time. So everything I do, I have to work out, is the hour I'm going to spend doing this going to be beneficial financially and professionally compared to this hour? And it's a constant balancing act between different jobs and things like that. But yeah, so like there's things like I can either be doing that, or I could record more videos, do more work, meetings with other studios and games, and make some stuff for studios. So yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of things going out. But on other news, what's coming out soon? Fireteam. I'll give you an update on what Fireteam's on at the moment. So Fireteam is my online FPS game that is completely free. That's right, everything in it is completely free. There's no shop, no microtransactions, no adverts, no nothing. You can download it, play the whole entire thing for free for no money whatsoever. So that is pretty much done. The first 1.0 version of it is done. It's going to be a game that's going to be added to over time. And the idea behind it is that everything you see in that game, I will show how to make in a tutorial. So the game will be out for testing. I was hoping last week, and I was hoping again this week, but my mother and all sorts of things. I don't know if it will be out for testing this week. We'll see. But the game's playable. You can play a whole match, no problem. So now it's just doing the UI things, making things a bit more user friendly. Teaching people how to throw grenades, for example, or what kill confirms are like and what they do, and things of that nature. But the whole game is playable, so it will be probably going up for testing for patrons and friends and family relatively soon. So next week, maybe end of this week, I don't know, we'll see. Be up on Steam, so people can get hold of it and start testing it out for me and making sure things will work. And then it'll be out publicly for people to play soon after. There'll be then the video tutorial series, and then we'll be making more features for it. So one of the first features that we'll be adding to it is more game modes. So the launch of the game will be only free-for-all deathmatch, so all against all. 8 players all fighting each other, and first one to 25 kills wins. So after that, we'll be adding some generic game modes that you're familiar with, so like team deathmatch, King of the Hill, Capture the Flag, Control, things like that. You're going to see those things be added in the version 1.1, which will be out at some point after that. after the release, obviously. Alongside that, there'll be some funky game modes that I want to try and introduce. Some things that haven't really been seen in FPS games, really, just for fun and see what people think of them. But also taking in suggestions from you guys. And so if you want to contribute and come up with ideas, let me know. And if you're a game development student who's studying games design and want to get your class involved in designing maps or characters, weapons, whatever, designing game modes, whatever it may be, you can just get your teachers to email me at support@ryanlady.com, and we'll get talking, and I'll set you guys up with all the files and everything you need, where you can build environments and things like that. So I've got a college at the moment who I'm going to work with, and they are going to design some maps using some of the assets I've got. So they'll be using that to build maps for the games, so we can flesh it out with more stuff. So yeah, that's on its way very shortly, very soon. I'm looking forward to people getting hold of that and testing it out for me. As I say, at the start, it's a generic deathmatch game, nothing too special. There are you will start with the same weapon, and you can then pick up power weapons throughout. So there's a sword and there's a railgun. You'll have grenades, and the power weapons have a finite ammo. So when they are depleted, they're depleted. You lose them, and you go back to your original weapon. The sword functions pretty much like the Halo sword, and the railgun is basically a big explosion machine that just detonates things from afar, which is quite fun. That's all in there. There's announcers. There's all sorts of cool stuff going on in it. So yeah, so we'll be adding new stuff into it over time. And anything we add to it, I said, will become a tutorial. So, and as I say, it will remain free forever. There's no plan of ever adding money costs to it. It's going to cost me money to put out. So, yeah, my gift to everyone. So yeah, it's a cool little thing. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. Announcements on that coming out soon. There are other things as well that I haven't announced yet coming for patrons and the channel and things like that. Which we won't talk about just yet, but relatively soon we'll be announcing some cool things and cool collaborations and things like that. All looking forward to getting that started. So yeah, pretty sweet. Can't wait really to get started with 2022. So lots of series, lots of cool ideas, lots of plans, and by all means, please let me know on Discord especially. What do you want to see a tutorial series in? So we've seen people asking for VR, more AI stuff, obviously. So yeah, if you do have any ideas of what you want to see and learn about, please let me know in the Discord if you haven't really joined it. And that'd be great. So I'm always looking for ideas of what people want, and I'll try and do as much as I can for people who need it. Other than that, thank you very much everyone for joining me live tonight. It's been a pleasure talking to you all again. Hope you all had a great Christmas and holiday season, and Happy New Year's to everyone. And I'll see you in 2022 for this weekend's live stream. Thanks very much, and I'll see you all next time. Good night, everyone. Bye bye.